Welcome to the IntualityAI podcast, where we are trying to give you updates on the situation as far as the pandemic is concerned in certain European countries that we hope are reflective of what is happening and, more importantly, what is going to happen. I'm Dr. Howard Rankin, along with the founder and chairman of IntualityAI, Grant Renier. And for those of you who don't know, IntualityAI is a predictive analytics program that has been in research and development for more than 30 years and has shown proven success in a number of different fields. Now, the predictions may be different from what you're seeing from other areas. And part of the purpose of a prediction is to really get you to think about the possibilities and really wrap your head around about where things might go. You know, it's rare for model predictions to be completely accurate. As George Box, a famous British statistician, once said, all models are wrong, some are useful. And we hope ours are useful. And if you are in the position of modeling or helping guide modeling and our results interest you, we're really here to help you and explain how we got them and to help you with your planning. Well, with that said, Grant, what do you have for us?
Okay, so let's start off. We've got a number of countries in the EU that we've selected. And hopefully we'll find them interesting in the projections. Our system, as you know, our technology only makes projections. We're not reporting any status current. We leave that to other people. So to start off with here, we're basically talking about predictions for Germany, Spain, Italy, France, and Sweden. So going right to the first slide here. The first one is really problematic. This is of France, and it is the so-called predicted cases of France. And clearly, the predictions are wrong. And so we trace back as to why. And it really goes back to how France has collected and reported their cases. It seems as though they may have accumulated the cases all at once and then dumped them into the system, and has been used by many providers of that data. But because of the way it was done all at once as opposed to on a daily basis, we're getting a very inaccurate prediction. But let's go on to the number of deaths. The same kind of reporting has not occurred in France that occurred in the cases. Here we see a continual rise in the number of deaths at around 400 deaths per day, with spikes up to about 900 a day. That's looking at the actual real data. But the system filters that out and tries to make rational logic of it. The curve continues to go to late June, where it flattens out. It doesn't stop. There are still some cases at that point that continue to rise, but the increase is definitely flattened. But the bad news is that the system is predicting what might be called a possible second wave in mid-July. And you can see the kick up in the curve at that point. We will be updating this. Our system updates this every day, and it could be that that wave will, that indicator will either go away or be reemphasized, and we will report that as it goes.
Okay.
So now I want to go to Germany. Germany is, in the number of cases, is continuing to rise, as you can see. And this is a projection starting from April 18th, with a average of about 1,900 per day, or 1,500 per day, and spikes up to about 3,000. Again, the system tries to take all of that into account, and it shows a little bit of an effect of those spikes. The curve flattens actually in early June, with some very moderate, very small growth to late July. And then late June, and then it kicks up again. So this could be, again, a possible second wave effect that the system is picking up on. So we're going to be watching that very closely.
And again, you know, the number of cases is a function of the testing that's being done and how widespread that is and who's being tested. So there's a lot of variability in these data. We will assume, I think, again, that's not been programmed into the analytics, but outside of that, we would assume that more testing is going to come along so that actually there will be more cases, but we'll see.
Okay, so the next I want to go to, I'm sorry, I was on the cases in Germany.
Right.
I'm going to go to the deaths in Germany. And this is a curve on the left that has a ramp up and then a steady growth up to late May. And that's an average of about 260 deaths per day, overall average, with spikes to 500. The curve climbs to late May, as I said, and then tends to flatten out, but with continual growth, but at a lesser rate, all the way through, well, starting in early July, or going all the way to early July, and then a possible second wave, again indicated to begin in late July. We hope that doesn't happen, but we will be continuing to have the system update itself with the data that's coming in from our various sources around the world, and we'll keep a close look on this. I want to go to Italy. These are the number of cases in Italy. They continue to rise at a fairly consistent rate of about 1,400 per day, with spikes up to about 2,600 per day. And then there's a flattening out starting in early June with some ramp ups periodically. But then again, an indicator of a possible second wave in mid-July. And again, we will be watching this closely. That's the number of cases. The number of deaths in Italy continue to increase at a rate of about 230 per day. Spikes up to 400. It's climbing to mid-June, and then there's a flattening out that at a slower growth rate. But then again, there's this possible second wave beginning in late July, which may occur. And again, we'll be watching that closely. We're going to go to Spain. Spain is continuing their growth, projected growth at a rate of about 2,300 per day, with spikes up to about 5,000 per day. Slower growth could start in early July and continue to possibly the mid-July period when there may be a second wave occurring. So those are the spikes of cases, and in deaths in July, they are continuing to grow at a rate of about 300 per day, spikes to 500, slower growth beginning in early July, and an extended period, but then in mid-July begins a possible second wave again at the same rate that it's currently increasing at.
Okay.
And then we wanted to include Sweden. The average growth here is about 300 per day, with spikes up to 600. The slower growth could occur beginning at about the early June period of June 6th. But then again, there's an indication of a possible second wave beginning in mid-July. And then going to the deaths in Sweden, again, deaths continuing at the rate of about 40 per day, spikes to 90 per day, slower growth in late May, but continuing to grow at a fairly consistent rate. But then again, an indication that there could be a second wave beginning in mid-July. So those are the countries that we selected from the EU. There are many other ones we have data on, but we decided to, as a uh, be respecting the time that we have in this podcast, to just report these. All of these reports, as you've seen them, are available on our website, and we will be reporting other ones on our website as well, but we also strongly encourage your feedback so that if you've got a particular country that you would like to see the charts for, let us know and we will make them available.
And there certainly seems to be a consistency in the predictions really across the globe. We've looked at North America and now Europe, and they're all suggesting something similar in that there's a flattening and then there's a spike. We don't know yet whether that's a second wave or it's just a spike. But that seems to be a trend, and we'll have to keep track of that and see how that develops in our programs as we go forward. Anything else, Grant, before we finish?
Yeah, I want to mention that we are showing this podcast on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And these charts and graphs that I've shown are available on our website. That's IntualityAI.com. And from time to time, we will be updating that as well. We also plan to have follow-up podcast here within coming days as this development continues. And we're quite sure that as that happens, knowing the system, some of these curves will change.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned. We will definitely have another podcast within a few days and update what we have presented here today. Hope you found that interesting. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well. From Grant Rainier and me, Dr. Howard Rankin, we wish you well and thank you for watching.
Thank you.